Well, good day, everyone. It's the Tordinary Cops, and we're back again. Now, mate, this is a pretty special episode and an important one, I think. Mate, I'm going to hand it over to you, and if you can introduce our guest speaker.
Yeah, mate, this is a job that was it's a job that just bloody understates it terribly. This was an incident that occurred in Toowoomba in 29th of May 2017. And if anyone who sort of has followed along with the podcast, you'd see the picture of Shilty and I standing next to each other in uniform. That was at Brett Forte's funeral. So today, and that was the last time Shilty wore a police uniform, was at Brett Forte's funeral. So today we have a very special guest who, it's pretty personal for us, this incident. We've had Zach Rolfe on last. That was personal because it was our jurisdiction. Well, this was Queensland, but it's still very personal to us because Toowoomba's basically both of our hometown, traditionally our hometown. And that particular day, Brett Forte was shot and killed by Ricky Madison in an operation taking place in Toowoomba and down into the Lockyer Valley. And the person sitting next to him in the vehicle at the time was a woman by the name of Cath Nielsen, who I have known for quite a while. Cath used to work with my dad in Toowoomba beforehand, and I've known Cath, certainly Cath for quite a while. So welcome, Cath Nielsen. How you going?
Thank you, boys. Thank you for welcoming me. It's nice to be here.
No, it's our pleasure, and this is going to be the intricacies of a job that I've got to stop saying job. I know we all say job, but this was a massive deal. This affected us. But, I mean, forget us. You're in the car. So we're really interested to talk to you about it. So, obviously, the actual incident itself. But there was a lot more to this matter than just the incident. I mean, the incident took a man's life, took a magnificent human's life. However, there was a hell of a fallout afterwards. And I think what's going to occur is we're thinking we can't do it justice in one or two shows. It might be quite a few episodes where we talk about different things, but basically I think we want to just get to know you, Cath, like humanise you to everybody. That's the whole point of the podcast, the humanisation of the police force. And then just also hear it from your point of view, like hear what occurred that day from you, and then, obviously leading into what happened afterwards. We're also really blessed to have Susie Forte coming on with us, Brett's wife. She's not with us tonight, but certainly will be in the upcoming episodes. So anyway, Cath, welcome.
Thank you for the introduction. And Damo, you don't live too far away from me. And I remember the Barb boys, four of you playing with the digger down the back, five playing with the digger down the back paddock, and you'd see the digger swirling around and be like, oh, the Barb boys are digging holes.
Yeah, that's my brothers. I was gone by then. I'm the eldest, but yeah, they were certainly into it. I've got no skills on an excavator whatsoever, but they certainly do.
It was pretty funny.
Yeah, definitely. So obviously you worked with Dad, back in the day, Tilly's Crawler Parts in Toowoomba in the 90s, really.
Yeah, I finished school and spent 10 years there before joining the Queensland Coppers, and it was I loved working there. And working with your dad, who was a great little salesman.
Yeah, no, he loves it. He's magnificent at it, and he just can and will talk. Must be bloody.
Yeah, and does he still have that? Does he still have that pipe?
Oh yeah, he still smokes the pipe. Still onto it. Can't get him off that. He'll die with that in his hand. I guarantee
it. Yeah.
So I actually thought you joined a bit earlier, but you just set off before we started recording that you actually joined in the year 2000.
Yeah, I was in May 2000. I was sworn in. Yep, so that's 25 years, and it's gone so fast. Well,
you're proper old people, Cath, as would say in the territory. But it's a long time.
It's a long time. Oh, God.
Yeah, long time in the job. So obviously, you're from Toowoomba originally, current serving in Toowoomba. Yep. Do you want to take us through your career leading through, what you've done in the job, where you've been, and obviously working with Brett Tack Crime, your show. So whatever you want to tell.
Absolutely. Well, whether it be ideal or not, after the academy, I did my first year in Toowoomba and just happened to stay in Toowoomba. And that's where I've been ever since. Yeah, it would have been nice to maybe experience a little bit of something else in policing, but, had a sporting background. My sport was there. My husband, he is a builder. His job is here. So I've got a really strong family and friend group here in Toowoomba. So I guess it was just easy and I guess in a way comfortable. So I did only about 3 years in general duties, and then we were starting this new squad, a tactical crime squad, and so that sounded a bit exciting to me. So I was one of the originals, and I think, what did we start with? I can't remember, but we started with however many of us, maybe about 8, with maybe a couple of sergeants, and ended up 4 teams of 4 in each by the time that when I left in 2017, and then a senior sergeant. So it was, it was. I absolutely loved working in the tactical crime squad. So the time that I was there, we mainly had a focus on drug jobs, that type of thing, human sources, a bit of work with telephones, that sort of thing. And I loved it, really enjoyed it. And I think the main reason was because consistently through the 17 years I was there, I worked with just some of the best boys and girls that, lifelong friends. So, and those of us that, most of us are no longer there. Actually, there's only one that's still there from those times. But a lot of us are still at the station, and we talk about, how lucky we were to just have been together and work together. And they were great coppers. We had good sergeants that knew that we would learn from, and we were pretty lucky with what we had. And we outside of work we did CrossFit together, and Brady was part of that. We had our CrossFit group, and then we'd go for a coffee, and then doing a 2 to 10. So it was great times. It was great. The work was great. We had fun times, and worked with some people that were bloody good at their job. Really, really good. Yeah, some of the best people. I'm extremely lucky. Extremely lucky. Mm.
So what I love about what you've just said there is you've just explained Strike Force Trident, so I can relate exactly to it. So we've spoken in the past about I've worked in a unit in Darwin. It was more property crime, so it was high paced, serious and complex property crime. But everything you just said there was the same. We were plainclothes. It was fast paced, and I know what you mean by that team. You got that team. You can really rely on each other, and you really build that team up. So. I completely understand. And I also worked with the Mount Isa Tactical Crime Squad a little bit up there, and I saw that, and I went, that's really cool. I really like that. It's like a bridging between detectives and general duties, that right in the middle.
Yeah, and all our sergeants were detectives, so we were able to learn a lot from them, and they've been in the drug squad. It was fantastic, and did some really, really good jobs as well over those years. Really, really fun jobs, really good jobs with, some good outcomes. Yeah. It was great.
It's one of the interesting things is, I mean, early on in my career, I got the opportunity to work in a TAC team in Catherine, and that was a similar feel as well. I mean, we did weights together and run around in plain clothes and all that sort of thing. But the same thing, we had access to detectives, which really, I suppose, honed in our skills in how to investigate better. It's those teams. That's probably one of the best. Parts of my policing career, I think, working in that team. So I think, especially if they're run well and you're kind of left to your own devices to run with it, you get the jobs and you run with them, and with no big brother overlooking, it can be pretty good.
Yeah, that's right. So we sort of talk about it. Sad it's over, but just grateful that we had all those years together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So obviously, as part of that team, what we found with what we did up there and the TAC team that we had, there was TAC teams everywhere. They sort of came up, they popped up when there'd be a problem. Sometimes they faded away. They then established these teams kind of permanently. We found quite often we would end up dealing with quite serious matters and dealing with quite serious offenders, mixing in with specialist teams, all the rest of it, dog handlers, both detection dogs and patrol dogs, so biting dogs, basically. Also, exposure to other specialist units such as physical surveillance, other sneaky stuff we won't talk about.
Yeah.
Lots of stuff with
Yeah.
phones. So is that basically same different state? Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So we did a fair bit of that sort of stuff that you're referring to with other units, where we'd travel, travel to different places for a while and do what we had to do there. Yeah, and that's exactly right. And that was, and it was fun stuff. It was, you could get your information and you'd move on to the next job and, go up the ladder, so to speak, and, try and, develop a few human sources along the way and, get a bit of info and and it was, learning a lot, even though it was drug related. There would be a lot of everything else. There'd be property involved, all those sorts of things.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And obviously, because you are that step between general duties and the next level, like I know you guys have specialist domestic family domestic violence units, specialist detectives, obviously
Mm.
investigation units. Um, Quite often, you guys are the hands-on going to get them and bring them in when they don't quite hit the threshold of a specialist tactical unit arresting them. It's quite often falls to that kind of unit.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
yeah. So do you want to take
Yeah,
us to May 2017 and run us through? If
yeah,
you're happy, you do what you tell us
yep,
what you're comfortable with.
yep. No, yep. We'll do. So it was a Monday, and it started like any other day in my house. We, up early, get the kids ready for school. Breakfast, rush out the door to start the day. Well, by 2:20 p.m., I was in the fight of my life. So I got to work. I was acting sergeant at the time, and it was funny because I hadn't worked with Brett for a few shifts, and he had said, "Oh, who's going to work? Who's going to be with who today?" I went, "Bretty, you and I haven't worked together for a few shifts. Let's you and I go out." Um, so we did the morning. I think we did a couple of raids and had a few things like that. And I always remember we went and got a coffee at the coffee shop we like to get a coffee at, and he had to get Susie a coffee, his wife, who worked at the station. Um, and we were back at the station. Now I'll just go back a bit. There was a wanted man, as you said his name before, Ricky Madison. He was wanted on a couple of warrants and was DV related stuff. So I hadn't been involved in too much, just the days that I wasn't working, just in the way it fell. But I knew he had phoned our office once from a mobile phone, and I actually happened to answer it, and we're trying to say, come in, give yourself up, and I could tell he was ringing from a mobile phone. So all that was then intel that we had. He ended up hanging up, and I don't remember what date that was before the incident. But we were sitting there in the office, and the phone rang, and it was actually Brett that answered, and it was this wanted man on the other end of the line. And Brett had told me then when we got in the car, he had said, "Look, no disrespect to you, but I need to speak to someone higher in rank." So with that, Brett has put the phone call through to one of the sergeants. So us, Brett and I, pretty much everyone that was available, from our office and general duties, were out looking for this man because we knew he was ringing from a phone booth. So we were sort of travelling a few areas that we thought he might have been, and then we'd heard another unit had said, "Yep, we've got him. He was in this phone booth. He's now in his car, and we're following him." So we've travelled, gone to where that was, which was actually near the top of Toowoomba, East Toowoomba. The radio was sort of going busy with the people on the radio, so I do remember I actually phoned the OIC of our office at that time and said, "What are we right to do? Is this pursuit authorised? What's going on?" Yes. So anyway, we joined in. There was another unit, a general duties unit. We're behind, and we were able to sort of catch up as it went down the range. So between us and this other unit, we were calling the pursuit. So a lot of the time it was him in front, and then the two us and the other GD's unit actually beside me were travelling behind. A couple of times, well, twice actually, people have coordinated really well to try and put stingers out. I remember once he was able to swerve around the stingers on the highway, and he put his hands out the window and gave himself a clap, I guess thinking how clever he was that he could do that. And then another, I forget what happened to those other stingers, they maybe didn't quite work. So this pursuit had gone on for quite a number of kilometres, right, down the Toowoomba Range and onto the bypass that travels from Toowoomba to Brisbane. So whilst we're on the bypass, there was a few k's into it, and I always look at the spot every time I drive past, without a doubt. There's this spot that just off an embankment, so it's not a turning point, nothing like that. It's just simply down this little embankment, which in hindsight, obviously it's how locals of that area got to where they needed to quicker without having to go all the way down the highway. But we obviously didn't know that. We didn't know anything at all. So because of the car we were in, and Brady was driving, we were able to follow right down this little embankment and was onto a dirt road, a bitumen road that sort of ran parallel to the highway. So it was in an area that I describe as like a farmland type area. You know, there was farms and sort of houses along the road, and this went for about 1 or 2 k's just on this bitumen road. Then we came to a point where we got to a road called Waller's Road, and that was a dirt road, right? So he went left down the dirt road. We followed. And look, that was a particular point because, you know, it was the last words Brett and I did ever say to each other. It was like, where's he going? What's happening here? And so at no point did he break the road rules? Was he speeding? Nothing like that. The driving was fine as far as the pursuit was concerned. It wasn't dangerous at all. So we're on this dirt road, Waller's Road, and there was dust everywhere, of course, because him, and then we were right behind, dust everywhere. So at times you'd even lose sight of the car in front of you, of his car in front. And then it came to a point, so there was heavy foliage all the way along, occasional houses along the way. So we got to a point on this road that it became narrow and quite steep. And the shooter has got up to this point, stopped on the top of this hill, didn't miss a beat. His door swung open, he's spun out of his car towards us and just started firing with a barrage of automatic weapon, hitting our car. Just the tings were everywhere, and it took me a second to go, holy shit, this is happening. Brady reacted instantly. He got the car into reverse and got his foot on the accelerator. I withdrew my gun and started returning fire through the windscreen of our car. Brady was shot with a few of his bullets, actually. Now, this has caused Brett's hand to fall from the steering wheel, and in turn caused our car to swerve and then tip onto the driver's side. So it basically meant the undercarriage was facing the shooter, and I was kind of standing over Brett. I could just remember the tings hitting the car repeatedly. I remember thinking, just stop before one of these hit me. And I remember even thinking, have I actually been hit? And they say you don't know because your blood's pumping. You know what I mean? So I knew something had happened to Brett. I knew Brett wasn't great. I got onto the radio, urgent, not knowing, because we did have cars behind us, right, police cars behind us. So here I am thinking, okay, well, we'll do what we learn, and we're going to get, people are going to come beside me and we're going to move ahead. And then I realised, oh, God, radio. So my window my passenger side window was smashed, so I removed the glass. I remember changing the magazine because I knew I'd spent some cartridges. Changed, so I had a fresh 15 racked. I thought, right, if this asshole puts his head over here to finish us off, I thought, I'm going to take you with me. And then I had to get my head up. Brady was in a bad way. I remember the siren was still going. The radio was going crazy. I knew I had to get my head up, so this was probably one of the hardest things I ever did, that I pulled myself up over so I could see out. And thank God he wasn't there. The shooters, him and his vehicle, were no longer in front of us. I remember getting back on the radio, but radio was so busy. I'm trying to say, he's gone, he's gone. I don't know what kind of went through, what people were able to hear. And then as I was getting myself, out of the car, I've sort of looked to my right, and there was 3 police officers. Oh my God, so brave. That had been able to slip up a nearby driveway of a farmhouse and sneak through to this gunfight. Mind you, there's still bullets. I could still hear bullets everywhere around, but because of the heavy foliage, you couldn't see anything. You could just kind of, they're coming from that way type thing. And these, 3 coppers, so brave what they did, because they walked into that bloody gunfight. Scotty Hill, Steve Barlow, and Brittany Polton. So Scotty Hill was an acting sergeant down at Gatton, but he was from my office as well. So, and he knew it was Bretty and I, and, he was such a great leader that day, doing what he did. So basically we realised, so Scotty Hill and I changed positions. Scotty's got in the police car out of the window I just got out of, and we couldn't lift Bretty, So I realised the only option left was to smash the front window of the car, right? So Brittany was she was taking cover, from the direction the gunfire was coming from. She had a gun out. She's waiting. Stevie Barlow was beside me, and I thought the only thing we can do here is smash this window, So I got my baton out, started to smash it. Now, I was a little bit surprised because it didn't smash like I thought glass would smash. Obviously, for safety reasons, it's treated with something. So it actually took me quite a while to smash a hole big enough, and then ended up having to grab it and, get the hole big enough so we could pull Bretty out. And Scotty Hill pushed him from within the car, pulled Bretty out. And it was at this time I sort of got the gravity of what happened from, when I had to pull him out, him on top of me, put my feet against the car to be able to get traction enough to drag him out, with Scotty, with Steve Barlow helping. And that's when I saw the blood. There was the bullet that it was, alrighty, this is, I didn't go to the automatic place of he won't make it, because that was just too terrible to go to, So Brittany sent Brittany back to where their car was. So she bravely ran there, sent Stevie Barlow back to where the car was to get their car, because I just had to get Bretty out of there. We couldn't do CPR. We had the kit, the first aid kit, in those cars at the time were locked in the little, because it was a pod that we had, was locked in the little side section of the pod, which is outside of the car, which the car flipped. So we, and either way, we weren't protected, because we were kind of protected where we were, behind the car. So, Stevie Barlow got this car. He was a smoker, and the poor guy was like, he could hardly breathe, but he still ran and got that car. And whilst he was doing that, I took Bretty's vest off and look, and I said to him, Bretty, it's Neil, you're right, you're doing all those things that you imagine you'd say and you do say. And I said, Brett, if you can hear me, I blink at me. And right at that time, he made a sound with his voice, and it was, I thought, right, he's given me a sign. Anyway, so the car came back, and we were trying to get Brett in the back of this other pod as well, and just because of the blood, we couldn't. He was slipping. I had him by his legs, and Scotty Hill had him, from under his arms. And I'll never forget this. Scotty Hill said, "Cath, move out the way," and he just got Bretty all 100 kg of him, and it was like this earthly grunt I've ever come out of a person. When he picked him up from the ground, like picked him up in his arms and put him in the back of that car. And then I'd said to Brittany, just go, we just need to get him out, because I was just hoping there was an ambulance at the end of the road, where by this stage other police had arrived, Code 1 and all the rest. During this time as well, there was gunfire still going off everywhere from the shooter. police had bravely tried to get to us, but were forced back because of the gunfire. So then, as I say, Brittany, get in the car, you're out of here. So she's taken Brittany down to the outer cordon, and then which left the three of us there. And we sort of went, right, we've got to get out of here. So we then, sort of backed off and we got out of there. And it was, 100 feet maybe behind our car. There was another car that was tipped over and was shot up, had, big gun bullet in the windscreen. So when the shooter had, with his automatic weapon, had shot at us, he'd then turned it apparently and was shooting also at the car, second in pursuit. So they had to, put the foot down, reverse, and get out of there. And they too had swerved and copped, a bullet in the windscreen. So basically, yeah, we got to the outer cordon, and all I wanted to know was, how was Brett? How was he? I need someone to tell me. No one could, or maybe would, I'm not exactly sure, tell me. I knew it wasn't good, but and it wasn't until someone then took us back to the rally point at Toowoomba Station, and it wasn't until we were there, a friend who wasn't working that day, but was from TCS, it was her that rang, and I said, they won't tell me, what is it? How is he? No, Kathy's gone. He's gone. So it was then I realised that noise he made from his mouth. I was like, I realised it was pretty much Brett died with me up on that shitty little mound of dirt on Wallace Road. I'll never forget where I was standing when she told me that. That was kind of how I found out.
Yeah.
It was gut-wrenching.
So we're talking about we've spoken about critical incidents in this job. You're talking about the absolute worst case scenario of a critical incident that any copper's ever going to face, and that's it. They all vary. Of course, there's Wiambella shooting, the Paul Punker shooting. These things happen. Walsh Street murders in Victoria in 1988. But you were there. We've all been in critical incidents, but this is a whole next level. I can't comprehend it. I've never been in anything like that. I've seen police officers very badly assaulted, but I've never seen them shot. So I just want to go back through, if you don't mind, Kath, and look, we really appreciate that, because that can't be easy to talk about. So I just want to go back through just for the for listeners and just sort of expand on a few things. So you said during the pursuit, so obviously he's goading police into something. He's ringing the police station, trying to get a response or something.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. So, and of course, hindsight's a good thing for everyone.
Oh, yeah.
But even when the initial boys, saw him in town at the phone booth, since watching the footage, he'd put a blinker on at one stage. So, he was well and truly, had another plan, didn't he? It's safe to say. In fact, he didn't speed. And look, it's, you think of everything. Is it better that those stingers didn't work? I mean, he would have then had an automatic machine gun on a highway where there was other people in the, road users, heap cops. What could have happened? I don't know. But, and the thing too with that is it's the weapon is it was an SKK where the firing mechanism had been modified, right? So you could make it full automatic, which is what happened. And then I'm told this weapon shoots a KOA, and we were 15, 20 metres in front of him when he started firing at us. And the bullets, that 27 of them penetrate, 27 rounds, he fired however many, but 27 of them hit our vehicle, with some of them penetrating the cabin. Photos of the cabin, there was, I remember one particular one between our headrests, back into the pod, this huge, obviously bullet had gone through there, this huge hole, which went between our heads. So it's just, that makes things a bit real when I saw those photos, that's for sure.
Yeah. And just to explain for people who aren't coppers and don't get this, so the fact that he followed the speed limit, didn't break the road rules, that's important to police, because we know that and this is a little bit methodology, but we know that if people do crazy things in the road, generally it'll be the termination of that pursuit, and then you'll have other ways to engage the driver. But when they're not breaking the road rules, it's considered safe, so you keep going. Oh, we've done it a thousand times. It's you keep pursuing. You go, righto, what's going on? We're trying to catch him. He's not breaking road rules, but we need to apprehend him. And stingers, I think we've spoken about them before. The tire deflation device that goes across the road and slowly releases the tires. Basically, once a vehicle's been affected by them, that they just skid around and they come to a stop. You can't drive on rims. You've got no grip. You've got no ability to drive. So. And I've never thought of that. Had you had a stinger on the Warrego Highway, like you say, two lanes forth, it's the main link from Brisbane to the west. You've got traffic all over that.
Yeah, Look, the supporting crews had done a good job. Everyone worked in really well with the radio calls and people positioning themselves. People from Gatton, Hellerton. So basically, for a lot of the pursuit, it was just him, and then the police behind. But there were still cars coming the other way, of course. Yeah. It was crazy.
Oh, it's beyond crazy. It's just I can't fathom it, because I understand adrenaline rushes, and this is why I don't know. Shilsey's the same. It's we've been in situations where you go, holy shit, like it's a. Oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. I've had knives. I'm talking about knives drawn and like right near and stuff like that, but never automatic fire. Where are you?
Yeah.
Afghanistan? Like, you're in the Lockyer Valley, for Christ's sake.
Well, the car looked like our car, when I walked away from it, it looked like something out of a war zone. It really did. It was shot. The bullets everywhere. It was glass smashed. It was, it looked like it looked like out of a movie scene, to be honest, what our car looked like.
Yeah.
Well, truly.
Cath, we've spoken about it a couple of times, and so if you think back to when that was all happening, like Damo spoke about it, how time slows down.
Yes.
And you think, can you go into a bit of that for us?
Well, and it's something you hear, isn't it, Chilsey? Time slows down, but until it's kind of happened to you, you get it. Yeah, that's right. I remember, him with his bill. I remember his face. He brought it up and how he brought it up, and then just started firing. And it was that split second, because it's too bad to conceive, right? So that split second going, he's not. Oh, fuck, he is, It was then, Brady's in reverse and I've got my gun firing back through the windscreen. And it was just slow motion. And then the car, Brady, letting go of the wheel and the car going into an S, and then tipping. All of that was just, it was in slow motion. I mean, it would have been, God, so quick, but it, and even when I think about it, which still is every day, to be honest, it's slow motion. Yeah, it really is. And it's something I hadn't experienced until then. Yeah.
So I've had that a couple of times. Don't even compare, like no comparison whatsoever. But I've spoken about the time I'd trigger pressure on a guy one time. I've spoken about in the podcast previously, but I remember it was like, the way I like to describe it is like a record going, everything slows to nothing. Yeah. And I remember extreme focus on weird detail. So I remember I could describe that knife. I reckon I could have read the writing on the blade of the knife as it was up like this coming at me. Yeah. And it's weird how nothing else mattered. I could see that. And I remember immediately, I can't even remember drawing my gun, but I remember having it up and I remember seeing the sights sitting right there on his head, and it was weird. So do you have things like that, like really minute detail?
Yeah. Well, for me, it was this. It was his beard. To be honest, never really said that before. It was seeing his beard as he brought that up to to eye level, to sort of, and he pitted it on the ground, obviously going up to the driver, and that's Brett's side of the car caught most of the bullets. I'll never forget that beard.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, tactical side, I just, to just hear it, it makes it so real when we've got the person who was there explaining it. We see news articles all the time as, police have done this, police have done that. We were there. We've been in the job. You're in the job a lot
Mm.
longer than us, but it's there's two humans in that car. Like, these are people just doing their job.
Yeah,
Okay, sure. There's tactical training. There's the tactical ability to respond a little bit, like not to automatic
Yeah,
automatic weapons. That's a whole new level. It's not
that's a whole
that.
new level. Yeah,
Yeah. So
that's right. That's a whole new level. And
we're
then
trying to use it, but not to use the firearm for an immediate problem. But we're not. We have specialist units that are trained to a combat kind of level. But
yeah,
I can't comprehend it.
yeah,
yeah.
a semi-automatic at a Glock fight, you're not going to come out. It's not going to end. It's not going to end real good for you, is it?
No.
It's like throwing rocks at a tank.
Yeah,
It's just,
that's
yeah,
that's right. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It's, and what you're saying before, I would use the word surreal. Even for a long time after, it was surreal. So it happened on a Monday, and then the Wednesday happened to be State of Origin, and um, they had the minute silence for Brady, and his face is up at the State of Origin, and I'm sitting at home going, "Hang on, it's all just a ridiculous blur." It's
yeah.
Yeah.
it's crazy, and even sometimes now it's still, I don't know, a bit surreal, to be
Yeah.
honest.
So
Yeah,
that sort of segues into what I wanted to cover next. It's so obviously you got the incident. So that's that hot, insane adrenaline, that absolute adrenaline dump, and it's all action and it jobs on like it's
yeah,
never been on ever.
yeah.
If you're comfortable, can you just explain that next 24, 48, 72 sort of hours?
Yeah, yeah. So as I say, was taken back to the police station. Um, and look, and this is where you know everyone's wonderful. I mean, well, I walked through the station, and I still had Brett's blood, on my hands at that point. And I guess, yeah, when I first walked in, people were staring at me. I was staring at them. They were like, even when I got back to the station, I didn't yet know, and I was saying, "Can someone just tell me? Someone just tell me." And as I say, it wasn't until my friend rang me, um, and everyone, it was just so surreal, and then when I was taken to the marshalling room, and and then ethical standards show up, and things sort of start like that, I guess. But I'll never forget the group of girls, the group of work friends, that surrounded me. One went and got me some old clothes and from her house, because I needed a shower, obviously, after I could be showered, because I couldn't, had to be photographed, etc. prior to doing any of that. So they just sat with me, the commissioner came up, a deputy commissioner. So there were some really quiet moments there, not long, after it happened. The president of the union was in there with me, in Leaders at the time. And yeah, it was pretty solemn, just trying to understand, and get in your head what happened. And at that stage, I hadn't seen Susie either. There was a whole other lot of people. She's lost her husband. So her and I hadn't seen each other for a few. We didn't see each other for a few hours, actually, after I had the shower, and I guess when she was taken to a certain point. And I remember where we were when I did see her, um, and just, it was, I'll never forget that. Yeah, I remember she was wearing a little headband, and somehow I had it in my hand, and I've still got the headband.
Right.
Which I don't know why I took the headband. Yeah, it was just, it was surreal. It was unbelievable back at that
Mm.
time. But the people that night, and for the time after, the love and support, it was actually humbling and incredible. And as coppers, you sort of do, you think, oh, everyone hates us and whatever, but geez, the outpouring was incredible. The days after, it was incredible, absolutely
Yeah.
incredible. I think it affected the whole of our community, and even people that were signing in for bail at the front counter would be like, saying, saying sorry to our front counter staff. And, I had a few people I'd arrested even, had reached out to me. And so it really is something that affected Toowoomba, well and truly. Yep, it affected the core of Toowoomba. Yep, definitely.
Yeah, massively.
Mm, mm.
So we often talk about what goes up must come down. So I'm talking PTSD stuff, yeah. There's a
Yep,
following around that. We've got to. If you're comfortable, you tell me to shut up
yep, no.
anytime.
Yeah, I
Um,
will, Damo, no.
and I,
And
I know
this,
you will.
and this is important for police, because a lot of police suffer from things and jobs catch up. And look, I remember the ambulance guys that sort of attended to me after it, and it was him that said, "Get to your doctor. You need to get to see someone straight away. Get on top of it." So I went to my doctor that I'd been seeing for quite a while, and he got me into a psychologist, and I was proactive with getting on top of everything, because it can take. And I thought, you've taken Brady, you don't get to take me as well. So I did a lot. I was always into meditation. I was lucky because I'm a Toowoomba girl, so I've got support mechanisms. I had a wonderful group of friends at work that were going through it as well, because Brady, we'd all lost him, not just me and Susie. It was, we'd all lost him, especially us in TAC crime. Most of the people there were people to this day, as I said earlier, I'm still great friends with, and we share the sorrow of this, I guess. So look, and that the PTSD is a real journey. I suffered from, which is a real thing, survivor's guilt, and what comes with that, the sick feelings in your stomach, the for no reason, why you feel like you're going to vomit, or why you can't get to sleep, why, the different, the different dreams that you do have, even they've never sort of gone away, to be honest. Some of the dreams, for example, you've got an active shooter and your family is there, and or you've got a gun, someone's coming at you when you're firing, and nothing's happening, and the person's still coming at you. Like, they're quite disturbing dreams that I still do get that sort of thing. Yeah, yep. So
Sorry, you go. Yep.
yeah, no, you go, Damo.
One thing, what you just said there resonates with me, where your brain makes shit up that didn't happen. So it makes up what could have happened, what might happen, what it mightn't even be related. But my example, I've dealt with death, a lot of death. So I spoke about it very early on when we spoke about the PTSD thing. When I first left the coppers, I had an incident. I had a little episode where my daughter ran behind the car. When my wife had started the car and was about to drive out, and my daughter just ran behind it. Anyway, nothing. That was it. But what played out in my brain was the car reversed straight over her, and we know what all that shit looks like, smells like, everything, and that all played out in my brain with disgusting detail.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I can't comprehend how what sort of thoughts, intrusive, horrible thoughts, would come around that incident.
Absolutely. Well, and that's right. I mean, one of my best mates basically gets murdered beside me, and then he's on the hill and took that. Well, that was, I've been told, that was he, because it took so long to get him out of the car. That was just, he had already gone. But I didn't know. That was not my hope, I suppose. Well and truly. And just on that, I suppose what went in my head was, I wish, we'd turn left down Wallace Road. Let's do that again. And let's say, no, let's not go any further. Let's make that decision. And, so I imagined that had happened. And, then Brady and I'd be laughing, in a week's time about, holy shit, what could have happened if we didn't, I wished dearly, dearly that we'd made those decisions, but we didn't. We didn't. We were doing our job, and And at the end of the day, it took the life of a great man. It's
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
What?
pretty sad.
Oh, bloody, just devastating. So,
It is,
what
yeah.
what have you found has helped? What have you found has been an effective tool to deal with this? Just to help
Yeah,
others. What? That's yeah.
yeah. Um, look, and so the trauma of an incident like that, and then there's always a secondary trauma a little bit further down the track, which the brutality of certain things that you've got to manage as well. So it is hard, it is brutal, it can be mean, it can be sickening. So what helped me? I always was into meditation. You try and meditate and it's not working. But as I say, early on, I got on to a psychiatrist and a psychologist who are absolutely fantastic. And I think it could have been very different for me if I wasn't proactive myself and took and made those steps to make sure that things didn't ruin didn't ruin the rest of my life, because it quite easily could have. Um, I'm big into sport. I've got a hockey background, so keeping fit. So I tried to keep active. Um, Socially, got a lot of family and friends and work friends had my back. So the support that I had from people, all of that absolutely helps in a situation like this. It helps, but still being in your head is no one else is in your head except for you. It's still a lonely place to be when you can't get to sleep, when you can't go to work. And for a long time, I'd get to a certain roundabout leaving home, and I'd be on the phone to Mark crying. This is fucked. This is, yeah. So I'd sort of either sit in the car park and get it together, or go home. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is a sad journey. And well, you can have all the support in the world, but it's still a journey only you can go through. No one else is in your head with you, and that's real. That's real.
And
I
yeah.
think,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, Damon and I speak about, and like nothing even close to what you've been through, but having like things like the police club, all those mates, and that support group network around you is so important. And the fact that you were really proactive
Yeah,
in seeking that out, I think, like for everybody listening, that's so important. That sometimes people want to shy away and hide away and just like deal with it on their own. But we've found, I mean, Dame and I think we're reasonably sane because we talk about it a lot.
yeah.
Debatable.
Mm.
Yeah. But yeah, I think like how often would you catch up with people? Was it like a regular thing, or did people organise stuff? Or
Oh, people fantastic would organise. I mean, for a while there was food, from my hockey community to, of course, work, and food would be brought, and that really did help. All of those people thinking about you. Flowers were sent, even gifts from random people were sent to Susie and I, and cards, and that all absolutely helps. But there were still times where I'd have, I'd arrange to go and, go away for the weekend, or meet for coffee. I'd be like, I'm not going anywhere. And you'd feel like you're letting your friends down. Like, I can't get there tonight. I can't, I'm not, not doing
yeah,
it. So I went through a number of years where I felt I was unreliable because I would just bow out of doing things that I previously thought I would do. Um, anyway, that's
Yeah.
that everyone understood. It's not like burn any bridges, but yeah. So as much as you can try and make sure you get back out there and you help yourself. There's times when you just think, "Fuck it, no, I'm not doing anything. I'm not talking to people. I don't want to see anyone. Leave me alone." Yeah, there's no doubt, and that's okay too. I think
yeah,
that was part of my process anyway. I guess.
yeah. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
you've still got to work that out in your head,
Yeah,
and take the time to think about things.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, and if it's a day you just want to sit at home and binge watch Netflix, and that's what I did. You know,
Mm.
yeah. Mm.
It's Kath, I I know this is it's bloody heavy and it's hard going, but I think and with you obviously your consent, obviously. We're trying to help
Mm.
others. The whole idea behind this whole podcast was the normalization of policing. It's the fact that the guys wearing that uniform are people.
Yeah.
The boys and girls are people. They've got family. They've got weaknesses. They've got strengths. They've got
Yeah.
personalities. They're all different. They're just humans. You put a group of plumbers, they're all different people. Of course, the cops are all different people. I think that the thing is that there's a real interest in policing because it's the shit that makes the news. You try and watch one single episode of any news broadcast anywhere in the Western world that
Yeah.
doesn't say, police today did this.
Yeah.
It's we would, I've said it before. You're in the news, and you were in the news for years.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
It was
that's
just
right.
from our point of view, like looking in as well. If you don't mind, I mean, obviously, Shilty and I from Toowoomba, that's one thing. We said this before we started recording. I knew when I heard your name, I think it was like a day or two later, I read something where your name was released in the media, and I just went, holy Jesus, like I know Cath.
Yeah.
But I had another moment. And it was earlier, where I nearly fell off my chair as well. I knew Ricky Madison. I've spoken about it before. I worked in the nightclub scene in Toowoomba from 2004 to 2006, like 2.5 years before I joined the police. And there was a common crowd. Like we worked at all different nightclubs, all through from the Uni Club right through town. For those who know Toowoomba, anyway, right through the CBD Tavern. Remember that shithole? Anyway, Rumours International, all those bad places. I worked at all those nightclubs as a bouncer, so I knew who's who in the zoo. I knew the Toowoomba crowd.
Yeah.
So I knew Ricky Madison. I knew him well. I've had a beer with Ricky Madison. So this for me, this may sound ridiculous. It was very personal. So that was the reason Shilty and I made that point. I remember sitting out in the backyard of my house in Alice Springs, ringing Shilty in Brisbane and going, mate, we're going to Brett's funeral.
Yeah.
I think we got wind when it was, and I jumped on and booked some extraordinarily expensive flights to Brisbane.
I'm glad you did. Yep.
I'm so glad I did too, because I saw you, and I remember, I don't think I said it to anyone, but I could see you were still in that what the fuck is going on stage.
Oh yeah, well and truly, yeah. Like a deer in the headlights.
Oh yeah, no, you weren't. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know how to approach. I did. I was just going to walk up to you and give you a hug. I didn't give a shit. I sort of get from not that level, Jesus, but I sort of knew, like, don't beat around the bush. I'm going to walk straight up to you and give you a hug. We'd had the death of a police officer in Katherine a couple of years earlier, and I'd remembered what needed to be done, and what his wife said really helped her. It was that people, they didn't try and be anything. They just were themselves, and they ran up and gave her a great big hug. And she said that was when she knew who her people were, and that's why I was just going to do that. And I remember, a little bit funny, I remember saying to you, I've been thinking about you all week, and you said straight back, funny, I haven't been thinking about you. You still got a sense of humor, in fact. That's good.
I probably had a few red wines actually that night.
We were actively encouraging a few red wines at that point.
Yeah. But just on that, damn it, like that advice that wife had given you is good, because I did find that some people would be like, oh shit, I might ignore it or pretend I don't see it. No, don't do that to someone. You go up and be genuine, because then you never know. I'll be like, why aren't they coming near me? What's wrong with you? Like, that actually was, people that didn't know what to do. No, you be brave and go up and check the person's all right if they're your mate. Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
and that's it's so important, and that's advice to anyone who's
that's right.
Confident somebody.
Yeah. Don't leave it unsaid, or because it's weird. Then it just makes it weird.
Yeah, just give them a bloody big hug and cry.
Yeah,
it's
that's
a completely
right.
normal response.
Yeah,
it
is.
makes
It is.
the person who's gone through that not feel like a goddamn leper. Am I right?
Yeah, that's right. Making people looking at you, or you go, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Be normal. But anyway, that's just the way people react. I suppose everyone's different, aren't they? Some people may not like that. I don't know.
No, and that everyone's their own. So, look, Cath, it's just an insane incident. It's absolutely what I think is that it's the worst extreme of what could have happened to us that we were used to run through our mind all the time. If this happens, what are we going to do?
And that's right. That's so, like I said to you, when Tom was going slow, there was that in my head, so many things ran through. It was all split second, but in that time, it was this is what we do at training. This is what you train about. Oh my God, it is happening, So in that short period of time, your brain can go, right, well, oh my God, this is what we train for. And it's actually happening right now to me or
Yeah.
to us. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So obviously we've got a lot more to talk about because this is not the end of the story. Unfortunately, there is a lot more to this story that's not nice at all. We're really happy that Susie's happy to come along and have that chat from the back of house side of things, from the really personal, losing her husband, going through the shit show that occurred afterwards. But obviously, I think the idea of this one is we go through the incident because no one can comprehend it. There's something about hearing it from the horse's mouth. Not that I'm calling you a horse, Cat. It's that this is what happened. This is what occurred. This is how I felt. I'm a human being. You put yourself there. I think civilians will respond really amazingly to this, but the ones who are going to have the holy shit moment are the police. I'm sitting there. My adrenaline was going a bit while you were talking it through because I've watched YouTube. I've seen your dash cam.
Yeah, the dash cam. Yeah,
all that. The dash cam's bullshit. It's dash cam and body worn camera. We all know it's rubbish. It's this. It's not.
Yeah, that's right. It's not what's. Yeah, it's totally different watching that to be in there. That's right.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, I don't know, Shilty. I don't think. What do you, Cath? You want to tell us anything more about the actual incident, or because I think from our point of view, we've covered that off. It's more about what happens afterwards that we're probably going to cover in the next episodes.
Yep.
I think
sounds fun to me.
I've just got one last question before we obviously finish this one up and then move on. It's just one of the things we were trained in, and I experienced just small levels of it when I grabbed hold of my Glock and all that sort of thing. And you know how they go through your training and it's muscle memory and all that sort of thing. And I hate the fact that, some people, I would have done this and all this bullshit, because they've never been in an incident like that. But and you said, you change your Glock. So that thinking of actually going, I've used those rounds, put a new mag in, that just raised goosebumps with me because we're trained in that. And and I was just, amazed that, basically you're training and you did
and
that.
And it happened. And I was too, the way you hold it when you go like that and you're still looking, but you're feeling and the way you hold the Glock up and you're putting it in, then you're racking it so you're still ready. Yeah, it was, exactly. That was actually a point that that I did notice as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, just didn't even have to think about it.
Too, sorry, we're talking purely tactical policing now. It's not really the incident. But you made a good point there. Glocks are not something that we're unfamiliar with. We fire our Glock quite regularly. Not regularly, once a year, or there might be the odd time around there, but it's not an unfamiliar object. You manipulate it every shift. So it's something you're familiar with, but it's not something you pull out generally operationally and start belting rounds off.
No.
Can you talk about that? How, yeah.
Yeah, well, I guess, when I had that time, oh my God, he is. Right, what I have to do now is, unstrap, get that out, start firing back through the windscreen. So all of that I didn't even have to think about. So back to what we're talking about with the training, I didn't even have to think about that. It just did come to me like it was meant to, which is great.
Yeah.
It shows that repetitive stuff that we keep doing, it does work when you need to.
Just becomes a drill when that stress response kicks in, and there's a saying. Obviously, I train people all the time now. And we train them in firefighting, which is still emergency services. But I talk about when you get that adrenaline, when you have that critical incident, your IQ drops through the floor, and you result back to your lowest common denominator. Do you agree with that statement? Or do you fall back on your training, or how was your thought processes immediately while it was going on?
Okay, I at that time, thank God, my thought processes were good. I remember thinking, right, next I've got to do this, I've got to do this now, then I've got to do this next. Then, then when the other three came, I need you to go and get the car. So I was able to think clearly, and I wondered if it was because I have meditated for a long time, like since I was about 20, just slowing your breathing down. Um, don't overthink things and let your brain get muddled. So I actually wondered if it was that sort of thing. I've had a lifetime of playing hockey, working with the team. I think sometimes those sorts of things do help you. When your back is against the wall, how are you going to perform? What's going to happen now? And I think if you're used to, playing a sport and you're buggered, but you still got to, do the running and when you'd rather not, or,
Yeah.
I don't know how right or wrong I am, but
Yeah.
that's kind of what I figured.
It's
So you're
yeah.
probably very well prepared for that situation. Like, you're obviously well trained policing, but you've also just got your shit together as a human as well. So you're able to go,
Well,
right,
maybe.
bring it down. The amygdala's firing. Let's
Yep.
calm it down.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, you're
Yeah.
17 years in the job too by that stage. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I'm not a newbie. That's right. Yeah. So that
No.
would have definitely been a plus to handling the
Yeah.
situation. And mind you, I don't love firearms. But since then, I do it, but I don't love it. I don't enjoy it.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah. No. Fair enough. Yeah.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
Um.
I can understand that.
So, I mean, tactically, obviously, we'll probably have one thing that we've been doing with the podcast is that we get a Q&A, and it's been pretty successful. People are really
Mhm.
interested to ask questions of someone. Is that something you'd be open to towards the end of the little series we have with you, that people can ask you questions about, and you can just answer from your point of view, from your experience going through
Yeah,
this incident?
absolutely. Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
So, thanks very much, Kath. Obviously, just a hell of an incident to be involved in. It can't have been easy, and obviously life's not been easy, not been great since with things, but you're getting through it, and that's what we need to sort of pass on to others. There's ways through it, and we thank you very much, and obviously there's a lot more to talk about. So if you're happy to come back and talk to us again, and obviously bring Susie, that'll be magnificent if you're up for it.
Yep, certainly up for it. Thanks for the chat. It was
Nah,
good.
Yeah.
brilliant. What do you reckon,
So yeah,
Schultzy?
yeah, mate. I think it's time to finish it off, and we'll get into a lot more detail of the aftermath in the next episode. But yeah, thanks again, Kath, for coming on. Absolutely incredible,
Thanks.
and be able to tell your story. It was
Yeah.
very powerful.
Thank
So, but
you.
anyway, that's finishing off. We'll see you all next time.
All the best.